once again to discuss things.
Stupid thing. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. This is Geeky Gentleman.
It's a really cool idea to start out with the screen share thing, but it's really hard to go back and forth between them. I
Yeah.
have to tell you. There we go. Hi, everyone. Magical. Magical here on Geeky Gentleman. Well, of course, we're going to wait a couple minutes for the people that are here right this second, all one of you. And
Love you.
We're going to wait a couple minutes, just give more people a chance to show up. Can you turn that down a little bit? By your leg. We're going to give people a couple minutes to just make sure they have time to show up. So for people watching this later, sorry about this. Bill and I are just going to shoot the shit for a couple minutes.
Indeed we are.
Yes, so let's talk about the sets, since I've been very careful to craft sets for these, and I've never ever bothered to talk about them. So I want to point things out to you people. So we got the TARDIS here. I got a sonic screwdriver. Ah, cool, it actually has lens flare. Oh, we got Cthulhu, and he's got all his Christmas gear on. A little contrast so you can see it's a Santa Claus hat. And of course, the Geeky Gentleman album. We have the Fox to see if it says anything. And I've got One Ton Mass Rocket playing lovely in the background. How about you, Bill? What do you got?
I've got a Batman poster and a sonic screwdriver, and I don't need anything else. Actually, more of the set, and I would show you, but I'm worried that it might fuck up. I've got more stuff back here, like I've got a Superman poster, I've got a Weeping Angel, Godzilla, a Rubik's Cube, Tough Shit by Kevin Smith, all of the Bond books and movies, and all of the Godzilla movies.
That's cool.
Oh, and I'll show this on air, since we're just shooting the shit. I got several Doctor Who things for Christmas. I got the Doctor Who Visual Encyclopedia, which is written by somebody who's not going to get credit because their name is not on the cover. It's really cool. It's got a lot of really nice pictures in it. The only issue now is that it only goes up to Series 5 and talks about Matt Smith like he's a young doctor. And it's like, he just regenerated. So it's a little funny in that regard. And they're still talking about David Tennant like he was just a doctor like yesterday. It's very unusual to read now, but it's still really, really cool. It only really talks about like the new Doctor Who stuff. They really don't go into classic unless it like relates to something that happened in the new stuff. But it's still really cool. They do need to update it, but still a really cool book. And not related to Doctor Who, but still equally cool. Steven Spielberg, a retrospective, this gigantic fucking book, also filled with pictures.
Nice.
And Spielberg's one of my heroes, so this was really cool. This is for my grandmother, so cool stuff. Covers everything he's ever done, including before Jaws. So very, very cool stuff. And don't blink.
For Christmas, I got a couple different things. I got some Legos, which is always fun. Dude, did you know they make a Mr. Freeze Lego?
I did know that.
Yeah, I was really excited. I did not know that. I got a Mr. Freeze, Snow Batman, and Aquaman are in the Lego set, so that was really cool.
I can't believe Lego does both Marvel and DC. That's
right. It's so weird. I got this sweet ass glowing green controller for the PlayStation 3.
Oh, that's sick, man.
Yeah, right. I'll just leave that right here, and hopefully it won't be too distracting. I got a new camera was the biggest thing. I got a new HD camera, which I haven't had a lot of time to play with yet, but I am excited about that.
What brand?
Nikon.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. It's a DSLR, and it also shoots HD and lets me hook up an external microphone, so those were the things that I wanted the most. And
sick. Now
I can also take good pictures while I'm working, too.
Sweet.
Yeah. But otherwise, it was a really good year. This is the best Christmas I've had in a long time.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Oh, I should also show this off, since this is insanely cool. So, there aren't a lot of James Bond comics out there. And those of them that are stuck Well, the one that everybody talks about as being really interesting, and I've never ever, I don't know what it's about, I've never heard anything about it until recently, is Permission to Die.
Oh,
And
is Bane in it?
What?
Is Bane in it?
I wish. No, this came out in '89, and the reason why it's very, very notable is it was written by Mike Grell, who did a lot of work on Green Arrow at the time. And Green Arrow style shows in this a lot. It's very, very gritty. And what really impresses me about it and why I think it's so cool is this guy's clearly a Connery Bond fan. Like, first scene in the book, Bond's rocking a fucking kilt, and there's this great splash page of all these, like, these iconic images from the 60s Bond series. Like, it goes up to about Honor Majesty's Secret Service with Tracy and all that. It is really, really good. It's a classic Bond story. And it's clear that me and Mike Grell share similar tastes in terms of Bond. If you're a James Bond fan and you haven't read this, try and get your hands on it because it's insanely good. Really, you can probably only get it online since they haven't gone past the first printing. I think this is the first printing. But pick it up if you can because it's really good and beautifully drawn. So if you're a Bond fan, pick that up.
Nice. Oh, man. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing, and Haley's going to get it now. She got me the Master's Pocket Watch from series,
sick.
Right? She's going to get it right now. I'm really excited about that. It's got the Gallifreyan on it and everything.
Oh, it's really awesome, man.
Yeah. And she also got me a Lego Batman clock, which is cool.
Oh, sick. Was it just like the design of Lego Batman, or did you actually have to like put it together?
No, it's like a big plastic Lego Batman.
Oh.
And it's also an alarm clock.
Well, that's sick, man.
Now, unfortunately, this thing I don't really have a place to hang it onto yet. But hold on, I'll show this off up close to the camera. You know, this thing doesn't have the best of quality. Yeah, you can kind of see like the Gallifreyan in it and stuff. Sorry, I'm just trying to get it so it angles right. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see the Gallifreyan right there.
Oh, that's
neat though, right? I really like it.
It worked.
It does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it's a functioning pocket watch, Bill.
Oh, dude.
You act like it's hard to make a pocket watch.
No, I didn't think it would be, though. Because it's got the Gallifreyan on it, but that's awesome.
Alright, hold on. I think I got this. Hook it to my tie and put it, oddly enough, in my pocket.
Oh, wow. That's creative of you.
Yeah. I know. Breaking the mold here on Sid Part2's channel. Breaking the mold. Alright, this isn't Sid Part2's channel, is it? Shit, Bill, do we have to redo the catchphrase of the show now?
I mean, we could just do it as here on Geeky Gentlemen we embrace the tangents, but... I mean,
yeah, but I mean, that's not like... That doesn't feel as legitimate, you know?
How does it not feel as legitimate?
Because it didn't come from the legitimate place of hilarity. It's just us reworking something that I said.
But you know what, Ian? You can't recapture the same magic the second time. You're never gonna... You know? It's just never gonna be the same.
That's it, people. We need you to leave comments of new catchphrases for the show.
Yeah, we need new catchphrases.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Geronimo, and bow ties are cool, and hello, whatever else comes next. Though bow ties are still cool.
Bow ties are still cool. All right. You know what? On that note, I think we've waited a good long time here. It's been about 10 minutes, which is about the time frame I like to give people. So, everybody watching, as the title would suggest, we're going to be discussing the last episode of Matt Smith's run as the 11th Doctor, and this will be the Christmas special for 2013, Time of the Doctor.
Yes.
Oh, man, this was a tear-wrencher, wasn't it?
Oh, God. It was, and I knew it was going to be, and BBC America, man, they knew you were going to cry, but no, they're going to make you cry even more, so they play an hour special called Farewell to Matt Smith before the Time of the Doctor, and oh my God, I was just like, it's really ending, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really well done. And I think
Let me just say, before we started doing the show tonight, Haley and I finally watched Adventure Through Space and Time.
I saw that this week too, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I was so shocked when Matt Smith showed up at the end.
You didn't know about that?
No!
That was so fucking talked about. I knew about it, so it didn't impact me the same way. But Dylan, I think we said this on Demons from Outer Space. Dylan and I, Super DM64, he's a guy on podcast, but he was like, Bill, that cements the theory. The Doctor knows he's a fictional character. So in our eyes, that was actually the Doctor and not Matt Smith actually going to like him, like William Hartnell about to leave the show. Oh.
I don't know about all that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was slightly, like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my god, are we going to see all of them? That would be so cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. No, the moment that got me crying too, and the moment that got me is, I think it's after the meeting with Sidney Newman. Hartnell goes home, and he
says, I don't want to go. Yeah.
I was bawling. I was like, oh my god! Oh god, such a good fucking movie. I really enjoyed it.
And I brought that up because I wanted to mention, you know what my problem was with Day of the Doctor, Bill? And I was really hoping that Moffat would take the chance here to more directly correct that problem instead of just a one-off line like Deadpoolzilla said.
Well, wait, refer back to the problem because I don't remember.
My biggest problem with Day of the Doctor is it is completely out of sync with End of Time and with Night of the Doctor and with itself in how it treats the Time Lords.
Oh, definitely. Okay, yeah.
And this is even more so. Ooh. And I was really like, I still love it, don't get me wrong, this is an amazing episode.
Sure.
But it really bugs me for Moffat. He's the one that, you know, even if he's doing something that completely contradicts it, he's usually the guy to go to make old issues with continuity work.
Yeah.
And I feel like he just straight up ignores it, you know?
Well, I mean, what makes it a little better here is it's directly mentioned. They directly mention the End of Time.
Yeah.
In one scene where the crack first opens, spoilers. And what I think bugged me the most about it is I don't like this characterization of the Time Lords being victims. Because it really, I agree with you, it goes completely against everything they had set up to that point. And now, while the Doctor hasn't done it anymore, it still kind of makes you question, you know, why did the Doctor feel like they all had to be wiped out?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with it. And, like, alright, so for those that didn't watch, and understandable because it was 2 hours long, after Day of the Doctor, Bill, myself, Deadpoolzilla, Super DM64, and Duke Loops 1993 all did a video on Bill's channel talking about our feelings of Day of the Doctor. And Duke and Deadpoolzilla kind of jumped on me about this, and they're like, oh, well, you're going to mess up some continuity or something, and, oh, it's the High Council of Time Lords that was evil, not the Time Lords themselves. Well, that doesn't matter because, one, this isn't like some one-off episode that only Deadpoolzilla remembers. And two...
That happens a lot.
Yeah, and two, this is the direct, like, what's going on is directly because we're supposed to believe that the Time Lords are monsters. They say it in Night of the Doctor. They say that it's the only way in Day of the Doctor at the beginning when he's getting ready to depress the button. You know? It doesn't fit that they're like saviors or whatever.
Here's the thing. I think the problem ultimately comes from where Day of the Doctor starts, because it's right at the beginning of that goddamn attack, and the Time Lords seem kind of defenseless, even though we know they're not. I think that's the issue. They look too much like victims, and it makes the Daleks look like worse monsters than they are. And based on what the Doctor has said, and obviously Night of the Doctor directly mentions this, they were both at fault. Equally, the Time Lords potentially even more so.
Yeah.
So, that was my problem. I still have a problem with it in Time of the Doctor, because the way the Doctor talks about them, he seems to have no regret, or not regret, he seems to have no issue with them now. Like, oh, the Time Lords are my people, and I must protect them.
Yeah, and he has like that line, they'll come back in peace and stuff.
It's like, no, they won't, Doctor. Bullshit.
Yeah, it's just like, it's such a slap in the face to the continuity, though. More so than anything Moffat's done. Like, I didn't love the idea of the Doctor erasing himself from history when the entire point of David Tennant's run was he finally gets to be known about. But I understood that. I understood that he couldn't allow himself to be known about. So it worked. Even though I didn't really love it, it worked. And here it's just like, you're directly ignoring it, you know? Like, you mention it, but not enough. You don't settle the issue. You just kind of sidestep it, I think.
Yeah, it's a problem. It really bothers me, though, because it's against the Doctor's character. You know what I mean? Especially the way he's talked about it these past years. And even before the Time Lords got wiped out, he was still a loner. You watch classic Doctor Who, he's not fond of the Time Lords.
Oh, have you been watching Classic?
Yeah, here and there. I've still not absorbed myself in it, but I know quite a bit about it. And he's not fond of the Time Lords. And for all of a sudden, him to just be like, again, they're going to come in peace. He's watching over that crack like he's the goddamn father. It's out of character, and there's no explanation why, except that maybe if you read into it, over all these years, he's sick of being alone and all that stuff. But I'm like, there needs to be more than that, and that's not said. Which, that's going to bring me to, and Ian, I hope you don't mind if I jump the gun a little bit here. I want to talk about my biggest problem with the Time of the Doctor.
Go ahead.
I think my biggest problem with it, because it is an amazing, amazing episode of Doctor Who. In premise. It is an incredibly good premise. I think my favorite part about it is, of all the complicated stuff that happened in Matt Smith's run, this concretely ends almost all of it in a satisfactory way and in a really clever way. I think that's the one place about Time of the Doctor that outdid End of Time, was that I feel like the plot building up to the regeneration was a bit cleverer than what Davies came up with, especially in ending the whole run.
May I just real quick? I thought the premise of what Davies came up with for the regeneration in Tennant's regeneration was really clever. I just felt like the specials themselves did not deserve that setup.
I agree. But here's my issue with Time. So you got this great, great premise, right? You're going to end everything about Smith's run. You're going to do it in a way that makes sense. You're going to clean up all the continuity issues. But then you're going to jump around hundreds of years of continuity just to get to a certain point.
How do you mean?
Because they jump over hundreds of years of the Doctor's life with narration.
Oh, yeah.
He's down on Trenzalore. That's
fun.
Okay,
I gotcha.
You can do that. It's awkward, though. It kind of messes with the flow of the episode. And it makes you feel detached from the Doctor. And it hurts the pacing because you've got all this amazing build-up, all this plot. And I feel like that middle portion is kind of like filler. Just like, oh, yeah, hundreds of years of battle, blah, 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 the Doctor's aging, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait, I want to spend time with this. I feel removed from this now.
I guess I see where you're coming from. See, it's interesting. I think Moffat has this incredible ability to make us feel a lot of emotion, to really make us invest in things that are on screen for such a short period of time. And he does this in layers. And in this episode, there's something else I can point to. That fucking Cyberman head.
Oh my god, handles? Oh, yeah, that was great.
Like, it's just like, at first when it's there, I'm like, this is a random-ass thing. When did he get this?
But it's something that Smith would totally do.
We only see him like 2 or 3 more times, and then when it dies, I'm like really sad.
Yeah, you get really sad. And it's something that the series has done before and done well with. They show you how something makes the Doctor feel, and because we're invested in the Doctor, we feel that same way about it. My favorite example of this is Rose in Season 2. Because, we care about him, and we know about his connection to her, so...
Even though we don't like Rose, we care about what happens to her, yeah.
Right, because it makes the Doctor feel the way he did. I totally agree. That was really well done. What's interesting is that we're getting to see Stephen Moffat write a Doctor Who story like this. Something gigantic and filled with battle, and the Doctor is dying and all that great stuff. And it's something we never saw him do before he took over the show. If you go back and watch Davies' run when he came in to write, it's all very small, self-contained stuff. He loved to write in the darkness. And what's interesting is how he's incorporated that writing style into the bigger battle episodes. Like, you look at Good Man Goes to War.
Which I still have my problems with.
I enjoy it, but you got the Headless Monks in that. That's such a Moffat idea.
Yeah.
And then you go to Wedding of Your Song. The silence is a direct continuation of the idea of the angels. And you go to Series 7, you've got the Whispermen. All this stuff is incorporated into the bigger battle stuff. But I feel like in the case of the Time of the Doctor, that got in the way of the emotion I think he was trying to express through this gigantic situation. Because he's not that kind of writer, that passage of time that, hundreds of years later, the Doctor's walking around with a cane. I felt like it took me out of the situation, and I was like, no, I need more than this. I need more than just like, we have to buy that over these hundreds of years he's done a lot of fighting. I think that was my biggest problem with it.
See, I didn't have a problem buying that, but I can understand where it does come in for you. What you're saying makes sense. It just didn't affect me. So I think that's a case-by-case thing, probably. But I really like the idea of the Doctor being a sheriff. And it's interesting because we got that seated in a terrible episode in Series 7.
Yeah, Town Called Mercy. Not one of my faves.
Like, I was talking to my mom the other night, and she says that Matt Smith is her favorite Doctor. We were watching Time of the Doctor, and I was talking to her about this.
Right.
And I was like, Tennant's my Doctor. And she's like, why? And I think I've narrowed down what it is, and it's going to sound ridiculous. Matt Smith has not had enough bad episodes for me to really invest in him. Because what I think makes a great Doctor is the idea that I can get invested in him and he can save a shitty episode that I would otherwise not enjoy. And Matt Smith never really got the opportunity to do that because too much of his stuff was really good.
I kind of agree. That's weird that you should mention that because I kind of agree.
Matt Smith, he had, Town Called Mercy. Sorry, not a good episode.
No, not at all.
He never had anything to the level of Love and Chocolate or
Love and Monsters. Love and Chocolate's a werewolf movie.
Wait, shit. Yeah, what was the name of it?
Love and Monsters.
Love and Monsters, my bad. He never had anything like Love and Monsters or like Voyage of the Damned. Matt Smith didn't have anything like that.
Yeah.
But
definitely not.
I mean, there's Town Called Mercy, and then there's like maybe one other that I can think of.
I mean, it's weird. I was going through Matt Smith's run in my head recently, trying to pick out my favorite episodes. And I think, minus all the season premieres, the finales, and the specials, my favorite is still The God Complex.
Yeah.
But I tried to think, I was like, what is a terrible Matt Smith episode? One that I can't even bear to watch. And I couldn't really think of one. I mean, again, Town Called Mercy I'm not fond of. And it's all stuff I'm not fond of. I'm not crazy about the Silurian two-parter from Series 5. Not crazy about the one with the space whale. I'm not crazy about Night Terrors from Season 6. This stuff I'm not crazy about, but nothing where I'm like, oh my god, I wasted an hour of my life watching that. It's interesting. It's always been stuff I'm not fond of. And it definitely shows you that there was definitely potentially some kind of like caliber of writing that was introduced after Doctor Who became so insanely popular after David Tennant left.
Yeah. Just real quick, Bill, Magpie just asked me on Skype, and if anyone wants to message me on Skype, that's fine. Just give me 1 minute before everybody starts doing that. The reason I don't like Good Man Goes to War is because they build up this whole thing about, he's getting all his allies, and then all he does is bring people we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem with it, too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could have bared with, like, all these people I haven't seen before if we just gotten Jack, but the fact that we never got Jack in Matt Smith episode except for that one quick reference in Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed by. And actually, that's another thing. I recently watched Sam's channel. He was one of the contestants in Who Reviews the Reviewers. I recently watched something he did that must have come out sometime during the early days of Matt Smith, where it was like talking about his problem with Tennant's regenerations. And he's like, I don't like that he just goes around mopey and saying goodbye to all of his assistants, because it's not like the Doctor goes away and we never get to see him with the old assistants again, and he puts up pictures of like all the other things, but I'm like, and I'm not going to hold him to this because there's no way he could have possibly known, but like, yeah, because we got to see all of Tennant's assistants again. Like that one time that, or that other time that, yeah. So that didn't happen. Making Tennant's little mopey goodbyes possibly more warranted than people thought.
Right.
Now, Bill, go ahead and talk. Go ahead and talk for a sec. I gotta mute my Skype on this computer.
Also, if you don't mind, could you like adjust your audio because I'm echoing real bad.
Oh, sure.
Thanks. Okay, so I mean, let me just say this quick to go back to the Tennant's regeneration because I saw this recently. I saw the episode of Sarah Jane Adventures where the Doctor is supposedly dead. It's the only time Sarah Jane ever met the 11th Doctor. And I'm gonna say this. I'm not fond of the Sarah Jane Adventures. I found it kind of like kind of creakily written. But there was one moment in that went back to Tennant's regeneration, and I was like, that happened, where he said, I didn't just go back on the ones that were seen. I went back on everyone. Because this is one moment where he mentions Joe and what he was doing in the rainforest. Joe was the third Doctor's companion.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so he did go back and see everyone, because I thought it was so weird that Tennant only went to people he had met during his regeneration and a little bit before that. So I was like, oh, that's a little convenient, but then he was like, oh, I went back to everyone. I was like, okay, that fixed that issue I had with it. But still not fond of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Though it was interesting to see Russell T Davies write the 11th Doctor.
Oh, I didn't realize he did that. That's funny.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It's kind of weird. You can't really say bad things about the Sarah Jane Adventures because she's dead now.
I know. That's why I said I'm not fond of it. And to be fair, I've only seen a couple clips in that full episode. But anyway, and I know it's meant for like little kids, but still.
That's fine. No, I get you. All right. So back to Time of the Doctor. I really enjoyed. Oh, Bill, real quick. Bill, is your audio better now?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really did enjoy it. Let's talk. We've been kind of like crapping on it. And I don't want to do that because I really enjoyed it. Bill, let's talk about like favorite moments or just general parts of the episode.
Oh God, I mean, there's a lot. I love the first 10 minutes. It's just rapid fire. Everything you love about Matt Smith. Why are you naked? Because I'm going to church.
Right.
That was so fucking funny. And that bit about like you can't go to that church without being nude, that he has to put the hologram on the visual cortex. And
I love that part where he goes in to meet her family and he's like, I think I have an idea to make things less awkward. I'm gonna project my clothes onto their eyes also.
Yeah,
they all see you naked right now? Yes. And Grandma's like, when are we gonna play Twister?
I thought that was so fucking funny. And so 11th Doctor, like that's what I loved about it. It was rapid fire, everything you love about the 11th Doctor, and then it throws you into the situation. I thought that was really well done. I love handles. That was great. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, I think the thing I like most about handles is it shows that there's a very important gap between Day of the Doctor and Time of the Doctor. Of at least,
yes.
It can be a day or it can be 200 years, you know?
No, it's clearly been a long time, yeah.
Yeah, I like that there's a gap there because I was thinking about it, I'm like, crap, since he spends all this time on Trenzalore, then we can't really have the Doctor come back post Day of the Doctor. I'm like, no, wait, no. There's all this time, like, that's left open. Yay, thank you, Moffat.
Right. That... And there's a deleted scene which should have been left in because not only is it hilarious, but it also cleans up that it's been a while since Clara has seen the Doctor.
Oh, yeah?
they come out of the this was on Twitter last night. They come out of the TARDIS, and Clara just looks at him and goes, "I missed you, Doctor." And they hug, and she's like, I just realized you're naked right now, and it's fucking hilarious. But I was like, yeah, it should have been left in there because, the whole episode is really about her fucking keep going back to Trenzalore, and he just keeps getting older up until Hartnell Smith, as I like to call him, fucking later on. So I wish that scene would have been left in there, hilarious and pointing to the story.
That is true. I wish they did.
Yeah.
Also, man, for me, I think one of my favorite moments is that the Doctor gets to be Santa Claus. Because that was always
yeah.
That was probably my favorite Christopher Eccleston line when Rose was all like, "Well, looking at you, you'd think you were Father Christmas." And he goes, "How do you know I'm not Red Tricycle when you were 3?" She's like, "What? Nothing." I love that.
Yeah.
That's down my favorite Christopher Eccleston line. And in this, Matt Smith actually gets to be Santa. I thought that was cool. That was really neat. And I also like that we get to see Matt Smith get old. I thought that was a really fascinating idea because he's supposed to have already been this version for over 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really neat.
Yeah, and I also liked that they cemented, yes, the Doctor does age if you give him enough time. Because there's that, and I still haven't seen Planet of the Dead in full, but there's that scene in Planet of the Dead where David Tennant goes, before I die of like old age, which would be an incredible feat by my standards. And I was like, that's right, he can still age. It just takes forever.
I still love that scene where in whatever the episode is with the Master, where he makes old. Where it's weird. We've gotten 2 Doctors where we get to see them be really old. Wait, 3, because there's a Tom Baker episode where he artificially ages into a very old man.
Yeah, and we kind of got to see Davison as an old man. So.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that doesn't really count.
He aged pretty well compared to the other Doctors. Colin Baker, what the fuck, man?
Oh, yeah, right?
Jesus.
It's crazy.
You're the Doctor of the 80s, bro.
No, I really like that we got to see the Doctor as an old curmudgeon man. And it was kind of weird that he was going crazy, like actually senile at a certain point, because he's all like, what's his name?
Barnable. That was scary, yeah.
Oh, man. And, like, that's the thing I was trying to think of. I'm like, all right, so how old is the Doctor now? Because, I mean, Matt Smith says I'm 1,200 if I'm not lying.
That's how old I am. I can't remember if I'm lying or not. Oh.
Yeah, so he says that in Day of the Doctor. And then at one point in time, the Doctor, we're told it's 300 years, but that's when he still has some brown in his hair and he's got the cane. And then there's, as you called it, Hartnell Smith. That's got to be at least another 300 years. So the Doctor's...
I think at least 600 years have passed since he landed on Trenzalore. So he's almost 2,000 years old, almost by the time we pick up with him at the end there.
Yep.
So it's like, wow. And I think that's my biggest problem, is they treat that passage of time so lightly. And I know it's the Doctor. I know like hundreds of years is like years to him. But when you're showing him age like that, it's a little awkward when it's just like, oh, and now 300 years have gone by. I
honestly didn't mind it that much. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
That's just a difference of opinion Bill and I have. People, leave down in the comments what your thoughts on the like jumps in time are like. Because it's weird. I mean, from the Doctor's perspective, that's what happens to his companions. He always stays the same. They get older and older every time he sees them. Like, that's what we saw. It's weird. This episode is kind of a turn on what we saw at the beginning of Series 7 where Amy kept getting older. You know?
How so? Oh, well, because the Doctor is getting older?
Well, no, I mean, in this, like, the Doctor's getting older, Clara is staying very young, and then in the beginning of Series 7, Amy was obviously getting older. Like, she needed glasses by her last episode and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a weird turn on it, because you could get the sense that he kept going back to see her because he knew that one day she was going to be too old to keep up with him anymore or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like what was I gonna say? Oh, fuck, I just lost it. I thought what made it more tragic was that Clara has kind of subtly hinted in her run on Series 7 that she kind of has feelings for the Doctor. And one thing that the new Doctor Who's from Series 1 to now has always kind of played with is these companions can't really have a romantic relationship with the Doctor because how old he is, no matter how young he looks. And Rose, they kind of dabbled into. If she would have stuck around, they would have gone there. But ever since then, the Doctor has kind of put his foot down. I'm not falling in love with my companions anymore because it's not going to fly. And I thought that would make this part of it and the fact that I knew who Matt Smith was going to regenerate into, it made it tragic, was they directly mentioned that Clara fancies the Doctor in this episode. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to when he regenerates.
Yeah.
But I think that made it really tragic because, she sees him as this young, musketeer of space and time.
Yeah.
And she sees him getting older to the point where she's just like, you're not the Doctor that I knew.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so fucking tragic, and where the aging thing worked for me.
Yeah, you know what I found I just loved it. I absolutely adored the way that it shocked the hell out of me. The way they did the regeneration. Because, Matt Smith does the whole big, huge regeneration that kills all the Daleks or whatever.
Let's talk about this, yeah.
And now I get to be young again for just a moment. And then, the hands start fading, and you're thinking it's going to be like Tennant or Eccleston, where it's all like, da-da-da. But all of a sudden, it's just like, bam, Peter Capaldi. Like, holy shit!
Hang on, let's go back. Let's go through this step by step, because the regeneration is a big deal. So let's go through this step by step. All right, the first things first, the Doctor drops the bomb. I have no more regenerations left.
I love that.
Most of us knew about this or theorized about it if we didn't read interviews from Moffat that this was it, because you had the Meta-Crisis Doctor, and then you had the War Doctor, which we didn't know if they were considered full regenerations. And then added on that, you had River giving her regeneration energy in Series 6. So we didn't know what that meant for the Doctor's regenerations. But then once you get to the War Doctor, and Stephen Moffat says later, oh, by the way, that counts. And he explained this in an interview recently, because somebody asked, is Matt Smith still the 11th Doctor? And Matt Smith was like, yeah, that's a good question. Am I still the 11th Doctor? It was this funny moment. And Stephen Moffat says, yes. And he talks about how I'm also one of those fans that likes to make diagrams of all the Doctors and work it out. And I thought that was so funny. And then he goes, here's how it works. So the Meta-Crisis Doctor and the War Doctor were regenerations, except the War Doctor didn't call himself the Doctor in the Time War. He used his real name. And after that means that he's used up 13 regenerations. And I don't know why, but I think this was the right time to do it. I know it was a big coincidence that all this stuff happened that would lead to this being 13, but I feel like this point in the run is where everything built up to a place where it makes sense for this to be it. And for them to have to come in with something that's going to introduce a new cycle.
Yeah. So
I thought that not only did that up the stakes, because when you've got a character like the Doctor who can't really die, and you really have to create some interesting stakes where it's dramatic. Something negative is going to happen. With Tennant, it was, I still die and some new man goes sauntering away.
Yeah, I've been hearing people complain about that too. It's like the Doctor's never been that afraid of death before. I'm like, yeah, that was Ten's character though.
Yeah, he was so
wasted a regeneration to stay himself.
Yeah, I love that line where Smith goes, "I had vanity issues."
That was really funny.
It was
because that's exactly what 11 would say about 10. And it's like I feel like some people get insulted by that, but I'm like, no, that's exactly what he would say about himself.
Right. Well, back then, because it's like they had that relationship where it's Sand Shoes. So we was calling him Sand Shoes and Matchstick Man. They're not Sand Shoes. Yes, they are. I love their dynamic. So I love that scene where the Doctor is like, so this is it, Clara. This is where I die. We saw the future. We know this is how it has to be.
And I like that she's the one pressuring him to change the future.
Yeah, definitely.
And I like that the Doctor's at this point where he's like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna do everything. Like, I'll change my own past and my own future. Because, like, they're like, we can't do that with Gallifrey. And he's like, we do it all the time with everybody else.
Who gives a shit? We fucked Queen Elizabeth I. What are you talking about, Ted? I really wish Smith would have said that. I really enjoyed that. So finally, you get to the scene where Clara is sitting at the crack. The Doctor says, "This is it. I'm gonna die." The Daleks are calling for his head. Great scene. I'm glad the Daleks were there when it happened. You know, I'm a big Dalek guy. So Clara kneels down and goes, "If you really loved him, you would help him." And they start saying, "Doctor Who, Doctor Who," and she goes, "You don't get it. You're asking the wrong question. All that matters is he's the Doctor." And never before has there been such a bullshit way to get out of a plot twist than that example. Because it's like, oh, we're going to find out the Doctor's name. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, all right.
I really like that.
I like that too. And then the crack closes. It opens up in the sky above the Daleks, and it sneezes and shoots out regeneration energy.
Yes, Bill. That's what the visual effects designer was going for. The crack in space and time sneezes, and the Doctor takes up some snotty regeneration energy, and that's why we get 12 more regenerations.
13 more incarnations, yeah. That's how I took it. Some people say that's wrong. I thought that was...
Who are they? They don't understand art like I do.
Fucking special effects supervisor shows Stephen Moffat the new footage. So, Moff, come over here. I've got the footage where the Gallifreyans shoot the energy at the Doctor. He gets 12 logs. Okay, let's see it. And it's just like this gigantic energy nose. It shoots out literal snot. Matt Smith gets covered in goo, and he sucks it in. And Stephen Moffat is like, "You do realize this is a program for children, right?" "Yes, but I think that there's a lot of meaning in here." And Stephen Moffat's like, "Change it or I will fire you so quickly."
Okay. But yeah, so like I like that Matt Smith takes up the energy and he uses it as a weapon. I really like that regeneration is now a weapon too. Which
it makes sense
because you shouldn't. Like the thing is, no, you can kill the Doctor if you stop him from regenerating. Like it should be really fucking hard to do that.
Yeah, right. And it's been implied in the past that the regeneration energy can be that destructive, like, you know, obviously End of Time, David Tennant destroys his TARDIS with it.
Yeah.
And, which, by the way, my encyclopedia made that make sense because they don't talk about it in that episode where why his did and why Eccleston's didn't, where, like, the radiation he absorbed got added to the regeneration energy, so he's releasing all of it, so that's why it's so explosive. And I thought that made sense. So, and then later on in Series 7, Matt Smith talks about how the way he wants to get rid of the cyber planner is to regenerate because it'll blow up all the bits in his brain. So we know it can be used that way. I just kept asking myself, all right, before we get to that, is that a good enough explanation? And, like, just the fact that the Gallifreyans shoot this regeneration energy at him and he gets 13 new lives. And I think it's fine. I think they need to make a big deal out of it in Series 8, though. Because having 13 new lives should be a big deal. You know what I mean? And I hope they make a big deal out of it, and that'll make me cool with it. Because it's such a quick thing, but it's a big thing. So I hope they make a bigger deal out of it later. I love the regeneration itself. The first one where he blows up all the Daleks, and it starts happening slowly. Like, he's like...
Yes, Bill, we need you to mime it, please.
Yes.
I really like that, and I like that we got that one, like, you know, touching, you know, person-to-person scene with him. I was really worried that we just see Peter Capaldi in the TARDIS. I'm like, I'm not ready for that yet. You can't do it. I mean, I know he gave the big speech and everything, but you still need something else.
Thank you. I thought the same thing. I was like, don't do it, Muppet. Come up with something, because I'm not cool with this.
Yeah, I was really happy that they went through and took the time to actually go, no. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but again, Tenet kind of did the same thing where he's like, he's got all the cuts, and then he wipes his face, and it's all healed. I'm like, okay, all right, it's believable. It's not like it hasn't been done before, so fair enough. I like that it's like I'm just in reset mode right now, so I'm gonna go through and try to do all the things that I did. I really like that.
Fingers, and I mean, the thing that killed me was, he sees Amelia and he sees Amy. That was my big thing, was Amy's got to be involved somehow, because this was her doctor.
Yep.
And she was his companion, so they've got to have her in there somehow. And they did it in a way that made sense. She's a projection by the TARDIS, and I thought that worked.
I didn't know. Is that what it was supposed to be? I thought he was just visualizing it in his own head.
No, I think it was. Well, I assumed it was the TARDIS because we see in Series 7. This is a prequel to Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, where Clara wakes up in the middle of the night and she starts having a fight with the TARDIS. And the
man, I need to see that. Please send me the link to that.
I will after the
anything with the everyone's got their one thing for each fandom. For me, anything to do with the TARDIS as an actual character, I really like.
And she starts projecting future and past versions of Clara to freak her out.
Don't tell me about it though.
Sure. So that's what I assumed it was, and she can't see it, and he can, so.
It could be. It's good that it's ambiguous, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
I really like that you see all the drawings of the Doctor all around the TARDIS, hung up on a fridge. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to the big thing, of course. The Doctor's kidneys are different colors.
Yeah, apparently, after he's done regenerating, he don't know how to fly the TARDIS too well.
Right?
So, let's just address the big elephant in the room, in that Peter Capaldi just fucking snaps in there. There's this big thing, and and I assume I guess it makes sense why. They kind of mix the different kinds of regeneration we've seen, where it's the energy, but it can also just be a fade, like in classic Doctor Who. They kind of did a mix where he went through the big explosion. Now it's just whooshing. I thought it was a nice mix.
I really like that very tragic moment for Clara where she's like, "No, don't go!" And I'm Peter Capaldi. I'm in your face, and I am horrifying.
He is terrifying. Isn't this a kid show? Oh god, it was terrifying. And we knew his doctor was going to be freaky looking because, in the
man, those eyes,
just the most dead serious fucking who the fuck are you eyes. And his first 20 seconds of being on film, you're just like, where's Matt Smith? Where's the Doctor? What happened to the Doctor? And
it is right up there with Eccleston's regeneration and that mini-sode with Rose, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost identical in terms of how long the new Doctor is on frame. Capaldi maybe gets 10 seconds more than Tennant did, but it's still just oh, you liked Matt Smith, huh? Well, fuck you, he's gone.
I really like Matt Smith's last little line where he's like, "I will always remember this time" and stuff. I was like, oh, that's not even the Doctor talking, that's just Matt Smith, dude.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing as Tennant, where I don't want to go. It's it's the Doctor, but it's more David Tennant, and saying I don't want to go.
Yep.
I thought that was really effective. And no, the line that killed me, where Clara goes, "You are the Doctor," and he goes, "Yes, and I always will be." I was like, oh. And it was a double entendre. It's Matt Smith saying, "I will always hold this role dear in my heart." But also, the Doctor is no matter what I turn into, I'm still going to be the same guy. At least in some manner of speaking.
Unless he turns into a Zoidberg.
I also loved, taking off the bow tie. Oh, crushed me.
Where it's can't wear this anymore.
Just let it drop slowly. Very appropriately, the camera does a slow-mo as it falls to the ground. Oh.
Yeah, it was a fantastic regeneration. I think it's just Moffat's new tone. All right, it's just the tone with the regenerations where the new guy will literally have no emotional ties to what just went down.
Right, exactly. He's like,
'Cause,
okay,
like,
I'm here, so let's fly the TARDIS.
Yeah, and it's like in with Eccleston, he's just like, and so you were brilliant, Rose, and so was I. Psh, Barcelona, and like Dave Tennant's all like, I don't want to go. Psh, woo, Geronimo! and I'll always be
So coming to my kidneys. So Ian, in those 20 seconds of Peter Capaldi, what do you think?
That guy is terrifying and ridiculous.
He is pretty ridiculous.
Like, I'm wondering if they just tell these guys, all right, say something related to your biology that's really fucking weird.
Yeah, so
because David Tennant was all like, new teeth. That's weird. And like it would be. Like for someone that's had braces, it is really weird when like something that you're used to with your teeth is suddenly gone.
right. If you have a broken arm, you get the cast off, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. And like it's just like my kidneys are different colors. What?
I don't like the color. The one thing I was listening for is what accent he's using, because just like David Tennant, he's also Scottish.
Oh.
So I was listening for, and you can't tell because it's this music playing, and it's fucking quick and bombastic. So I think he's going for British, but or English rather, but I couldn't quite tell. So I guess we'll have to wait for Series 8, which that wait's gonna kill me. A year, really?
Really?
Oh yeah, it's not coming back till fall of 2014.
What the hell, BBC?
Right. Hell, man, we have to wait 2 years for Sherlock. So.
Ugh, God, you guys kill me.
I know, right?
Like BBC started this whole mid-series finale crap, and now every goddamn show does it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's two reasons why, as far as I can gather, because the show is supposed to come back in August. I would have been like, that's a weird time to bring back Who, but I'll take it. As long as the quicker the better. But then I think it was actually Moffat who was like, I have to finish up Sherlock before we can continue with Doctor Who, and I was like, no, fuck you. I love Sherlock, but I want new Who.
Can't you just do both? Just give us a crossover.
Right, exactly. It's like, why do you have to sleep, Stephen Moffat? Why can't you just be a robot? Just constantly write them.
It's gonna be like Misery. Like Stephen Moffat's gonna crash his car.
Geeky gentleman kidnaps Stephen Moffat and forces him to write new Doctor Who, in which Sherlock
and put Benedict Cumberbatch as the Master, and also have a Sherlock Doctor Who crossover. Who cares if it doesn't make any sense?
Yes!
Did you see the Who? Yeah, I sent you that Who-Lock fan.
Oh, I saw it. Oh, God, it was amazing. There was one awkward moment where clearly Matt Smith wasn't wearing the same outfit, but whatever. You look past it, it was fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah, that guy did a really good job. All right, Bill, I think that's about the end of this, unless there's any other small things you wanted to mention.
I don't think so.
All right. Everybody, thank you for watching Bill and I geek out. Oh, wow, this went about an hour. Nice. I guess this is a special and not a mini. Everyone, thank you for watching. And until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Fanatic!
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.
I really wish my light lit up.
Oh, that's funny.